Okay, this session is going to go over examples of tissues. These are the kinds of pictures you're going to see in the lab practical. And so we're going to go over the pictures and identify the tissues. As we identify the tissues, we're going to describe the tissue and the location and the function and the what else, and any other structure is generally that is descriptive of the tissue, and that's the information that you're going to be cover that's going to be covered in lecture. So this kind of covers both lecture and lab. Okay, so the first thing you do is, okay, what tissue is this? Okay, what's obvious about this tissue are fibers going all over the place. That immediately should clue you that this is connective tissue. So that is first thing. So this is connective tissue because of the sheer number of fibers all over the place. Okay, so the question is, what kind of connective tissue? Well, let's see. We don't really see lacunae, so that takes care of cartilage. This is definitely not blood. Blood doesn't have this many fibers. It doesn't have the round structure of that we see in bone, so it can be bone. That leaves us with loose connective tissue. The fibers are not thick enough, dense connective tissue, so that leaves us with loose connective tissue proper. Loose connective tissue proper, we have three choices: areolar, adipose, and reticular. So adipose tissue is the one that looks like empty blobs of cells. That's not what this looks like. That leaves us with two: reticular and areolar. Now, reticular connective tissue had essentially what kind of fiber? That was reticular fiber. What we see here is more than one kind of fiber. We see thick fibers. We see thin red fibers. We see these purplish black fibers. We see all three types of fibers. That leaves you with really just one possibility. This is areolar connective tissue. The cells that we see, the cells that you need to remember of areolar connective tissue, were fibroblasts. The function is the support of epithelial tissue above. The location could be the lamina propria, which is the layer of areolar. This is areolar connective tissue. Lamina propria, which is the layer of areolar tissue below epithelial tissue. You could be even more specific and say this is the dermis of the skin. You can be even more specific and say this is the reticular layer of the dermis of the skin. Okay, of dermis. Okay. All right, so that takes care. Oh, and well, we mentioned the function already. So that takes care of this slide. Let's go for the next slide. Let's see. Again, this is a slide that is a little bit weird. You could say that you see fibers, but also look at these right here. That is a cell. There's another cell here. There's another cell here. There's another cell, and another cell, and another cell. This looks like a tile floor of cells. So the lines that you see are more an optical illusion, or they are made by the cell membranes of all these cells, than true protein fibers. So these are really not fibers that we're looking at. What we're looking at, these lines that you see, are actually cells. So this is a cellular tissue. If this is a cellular tissue, now we're looking at three possibilities: nervous tissue, epithelial tissue, or muscle tissue. Okay? Muscle tissue cells are elongated. These cells are not elongated. That takes care of muscle tissue. Neurons are huge cells that have a star shape to them. That's not the case. That takes care of nervous tissue. That leaves us with epithelial tissue. All right. This is, we don't see a surface, or at least what we see is the tile floor. So this is a tissue lining the inside of a structure. The cells don't have a square shape or a columnar shape that leaves us with squamous cells. So this is simple squamous epithelium lining the inside of blood vessels or lining the surface of serous membranes. So the location will be endothelium or mesothelium. The tissue would be simple squamous epithelial tissue Mesothelium is the simple squamous epithelium found in the serous membrane. Endothelium is the simple squamous epithelium lining blood vessels. And I think that's it for this tissue. Okay, next one. All right, hopefully this is an easy one. Look at these circular structures that you see here. And then there's another one here. And these will be the nuclei of cells, which means that the cytoplasm of the cell membrane is right there. Another nice little nuclei, another nice little nuclei. So you see here round nuclei. Round nuclei suggests square cells. So you can see how these are little square cells, single layer of cells, because the tissue in between is connective tissue. So these right here will be connective tissue, connective tissue, connective tissue. And in between these little circular structures, we have this connective tissue separating these single layers of cells. Okay. Actually, the connective tissue is areolar connective tissue, but you don't need to know that. The tissue is going to be a single layer of square cells. That means simple cuboidal epithelium. The location is kidney tubules. Function is secretion and absorption. Okay. Actually, this right here, yeah, this right here is a blood vessel. You can see the little red blood cells there. That's a white blood cell. And so secretion and absorption, which means the movement of substances out of the tubule into the blood and from the blood into the tubule. That's secretion and absorption. Okay, next tissue, take a look at this. This is a surface. That tells you immediately this is going to be epithelial tissue. All right, that makes it easy. The other thing that's going to make it easy are these little brush-looking things here. That's cilia. There's only one tissue that was ciliated, and that was pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. So if nothing else, this cilia is going to give it away. These little cells like here that look empty are goblet cells. So this should be an easy tissue to identify. Nothing else has cilia. The tissue underneath is going to be connective tissue, and more specifically, areolar connective tissue. The cells are going to be pseudo-stratified, so they're going to be simple columnar cells. The location of the tissue, this tissue lines most of the respiratory tract. Function, okay, the goblet cells secrete mucus, and mucus traps particles, and the cilia move those substances that are being trapped out of the body. So the movement of substances on the surface of the tissue. Okay, next one. Let's see. What do we see here? We see these lines. So that makes it a little hard because these could be collagen fibers for all we know. But the fibers, if these were collagen fibers, then what are we doing with these nuclei right here? What are these lines right there? There's another nuclei right here. And not a very good picture, but there should be striations, faintly seen striations. So what we don't see in connective tissue, first of all, we don't have it in a close-up like these. We typically see a broader part of the tissue. The cells of connective tissue are small. These pink structures are cells themselves. So these entire pink structures are going to be cells. The cells, so that leaves us with elongated cells. There's only one tissue that has these elongated cells that have lines running through them, and that's going to be muscle tissue. Skeletal muscle has huge cells that have many nuclei. These are single nucleated cells. So that leaves us with cardiac muscle or smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is not striated, and it doesn't have intercalated discs, which you see right here, right there, right there. Intercalated discs, striations, branch cells, single nucleated cells. That leaves us with one possibility, which is cardiac muscle. Okay. Now take a look at these right here. What do we see here? what we see are just these little lines here. And what we also see very faintly are these pinkish, faint pinkish lines going across. First of all, the lines are all going in the same direction, suggesting fibers going in the same direction. There is no surface, so that tells you that's not epithelial tissue. No nervous tissue, because we don't see the big neurons, so that leaves those two out. We're left now with connective tissue and muscle tissue. All right. The cells, which are these little purple structures right here, are kind of hidden by the faint red fibers. So when you have lots of fibers hiding cells, now we're talking about connective tissue. The fibers are all going in the same direction, so that's going to be dense regular connective tissue. The cells are fibroblasts. The location of the tissue will be tendons and ligaments, and the function of the tissue is to resist tension in one direction. And this is probably one of the hardest tissues to identify. Okay. So that's just a side note there. Just be aware of that. Very hard tissue to identify. Next one, however, is very easy. I think hopefully what catches your eyes, first of all, if this is a cell here, and this is another cell over here, this is a humongous cell. It takes up the entire field of view pretty much, and we don't even see the complete cell. The striations are pretty obvious. That's a giveaway that this is muscle. Cells are elongated, another giveaway that this is muscle. The only two muscles that are striated is skeletal and cardiac. Cardiac has one single nucleus in the middle. This guy has many nuclei, and the cells are not branched. So that leaves you with skeletal muscle tissue. Hopefully this is an easy tissue to identify. If nothing else, the striations, the obvious striations, is the giveaway. All right, this tissue right here, we have a lot of this. So this is all surface. So that should immediately indicate epithelial tissue. When you see that much surface, think epithelial tissue, more surface here. These little red lines are going to be the cells making up the tissue. And so that leaves us with flat cells. So this is simple squamous epithelial tissue. Because of these surfaces, because of the empty spaces, this suggests alveoli of the lungs. So this is simple squamous epithelium making alveoli in the lungs, and the function will be diffusion of gases. Now, contrast this tissue with this one right here, which you may think it looks similar, but in this case, the empty-looking spaces are circles, which are cells. Notice that in the previous tissue, the empty-looking spaces didn't quite make a circular structure of a cell. It made more of a sac-like structure. Some of them were bigger, some of them were smaller. So look at these. This really doesn't look like cells. This is more consistent. The shapes of the cells are a little bit more consistent, are circles. The cells are going to be adipocytes. Location will be the buttocks, breasts, abdominal cavity, etc. And function is protection, storage of fat, energy, insulation, etc. All right, so those are two tissues. This one right here. Okay, let's take a look at this one. This is another one. There's two hard tissues to identify. We already saw one, which was this one right here, and which was dense regular connective tissue. This one is actually, sometimes students confuse dense regular connective tissue with this tissue right here. This is the difference. First of all, these structures right here are bigger. They don't necessarily look like lines, they look like ovals. Go back to this tissue here. These are lines, they look like lines because they're completely hidden. They're so hidden that all you see is a little line. These are nuclei of cells, of the fibroblasts, completely hidden by the collagen fibers that are running in one direction all over the place. This tissue, these oval-looking structures are again the nuclei of the cell, and the pink is going to be the cell itself. So what you see here are these spindle-shaped cells with one oval nucleus in the middle. So the pink that you see are collagen fibers. They are they're cells. They're the cytoplasm of cells, of the smooth muscle cells. It is tricky, I grant you that. What you need to do is look at the nuclei. The nuclei are fatter, bigger. They're not just little lines that are barely seen. Then you know you're looking at smooth muscle. A smooth muscle location is the walls of viscera. The function will be contraction. The names of the cells are going to be either muscle fibers or myocytes. You should use either one. You should recognize or use either one of those terms. All right. Leaving behind the hard tissues. This is an easy tissue, hopefully, because you see these circles, these blobs, these empty spaces. So these empty spaces here and here, and then in other areas, the empty spaces actually has a little resident inside. That one doesn't. This one does. Okay, the empty spaces are lacunae. The minute you see lacunae, you know you have cartilage. So because the lacunae of bone could not be seen. So visible lacunae is cartilage. So you have three possibilities. You have hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage, or elastic cartilage. Hyaline cartilage did not have a visible fibers in the matrix. This one, you see visible fibers right here, crossing the matrix. You did see visible fibers in fibrocartilage, but in fibrocartilage, there were so many fibers that you could barely see the lacunae with the chondrocyte inside. Also, the color was different. Fibrocartilage was blue. This is kind of purplish. So if nothing else, the color should be another giveaway. This is elastic cartilage. And elastic cartilage has lacunae. The cells are chondrocytes, and it's found only in two places, epiglottis and the ear. And the function is flexibility of the structure. Okay, this guy right here, definitely not epithelial tissue because there are no surfaces. Not a muscle tissue because we don't really see the multitude of elongated cells. Not nervous tissue because we don't see neurons. That leaves us with connective tissue. There are no obvious lacunae. Lacunae are typically round. So even though there are spaces, these spaces are really not lacunae. Okay. The spaces are just spaces that are made by the fibers. What you do see are fibers. These fibers going in different directions. The fibers are collagen fibers. Typically, collagen fibers color pinkish on the stains used. And then, that tells you fibers going on different directions and looks like only one type of fiber. That leaves you with either loose connective tissue or dense connective tissue. Loose connective tissue, well, that will be areolar. Areolar has three different types of fibers. You only see here really one type of fiber, so forget areolar. We don't see the fibers in adipose, forget adipose. Reticular has the dark reticular fibers. We don't really see that, and the cells are round. We don't really see that here, so forget that. That leaves us with dense regular or dense irregular. The fibers are going in different directions. That means it's dense irregular. So this is dense irregular connective tissue. Fibers are collagen fibers. The cells are fibroblasts. The location, reticular dermis, or reticular layer of dermis. The equivalent of that is of the reticular dermis in the skin. The equivalent of that in the GI tract is called the submucosa of GI tract. And I'm just telling you the places that are mentioned in the PowerPoints. And then the other one are joint capsules. So either one of these are locations of dense regular connective tissue. So this is dense regular connective tissue. All right, moving on. This guy right here. Okay, first of all, surface. That's the giveaway, that this is epithelial tissue. So the next question is this simple or stratified? Okay, so this is the nuclei of a cell, the nuclei of a cell, the nuclei of a cell, the nuclei of a cell. Okay, these are layers of nuclei. That tells you this is a stratified tissue. It's going to be a stratified epithelium. We had 3 stratified epithelium that we saw. We saw keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and transitional epithelium. The two first epithelium were squamous with flat cells. Well, the nuclei of these little cells here on the top is round, suggesting either square cells or round cells. So that leaves out the squamous stratified epithelium, leaving us with only one possibility. This is transitional epithelium. Transitional epithelium is found in the urinary bladder. Its function is to be able to transition in shape from round cells to flat cells as the organ expands. Okay, next tissue. Okay, pinkish. All right, and it has spaces. All right, it has empty spaces and some spaces with actual cells inside. There you go, there's your lacunae. And sometimes the chondrocyte dies, leaving behind the lacunae only, which is what you see in the empty spaces. Another empty space, not empty space, but a little space with a little lacunae inside. That tells you this is cartilage. So now we have 3 possibilities: hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage, and elastic cartilage. This is not elastic cartilage, otherwise we would be seeing fibers crisscrossing the matrix. As a matter of fact, what we see here is a smooth matrix. A smooth matrix tells you this is hyaline cartilage. So this is hyaline cartilage. You should know the locations: articular cartilage, respiratory cartilage, costal cartilage, nasal cartilage. The cells are called chondrocytes. It is avascular tissue, and it has lacunae. And the function is to resist compression. Let's look at this other tissue right here. First of all, the color is the giveaway, blue. There was only one blue tissue. On top of that, to reinforce that, is that we have fibers running. Okay, that tells you it's connective tissue. The fibers will be collagen. And we do have lacunae, but it's kind of faint. It's not as many lacunae as in the other cartilage tissue. So take a look at these cartilage tissue, lots of lacunae. Take a look at these other cartilage tissue, lots of lacunae. The third cartilage has very few far in between lacunae, barely seen right there. The little cells have a red nuclei in the middle, but you can really see the cells, the chondrocytes. Okay. What really catches your eye are the blue fibers, collagen fibers. So this is fibrocartilage, found in 3 locations: in the intervertebral discs, pubic symphysis, and the meniscus of the knee. The function is shock absorption. Next one, hopefully nobody's going to get wrong. This is bone tissue. Let's see, bone tissue. I'm just trying to see what else is there. We're going to go into, okay, bone tissue. Again, giveaway color. No other tissue is dark. You have these round structures there, which we're going to study on chapter 6 when we look at bone. We have the little nuclei of the osteocytes, which know, even though we don't see it, we know that there is lacunae in there. We know there are fibers. The fibers are going to be collagen fibers. So we have collagen fibers, osteocytes, calcified matrix, these round structures. This is bone tissue. Hopefully blood, again, will not be confused. The red blood cells are the giveaway. Red blood cells all over the place. This is a white blood cell over here. Fibers, we don't need to know fibers. Location inside blood vessels. Okay, and this is a liquid matrix. The last slides are just really, I'm going to go ahead and go over them because they're there, but you know, chances are you may not see these in the practical. This is a structure made of these little cells right here that are square little cells, one layer of square little cells surrounding this lake-like structure. These are simple cuboidal epithelium. The next slide is even better. These guys are giveaway, hopefully. Take a look at these little cells. These are tall cells. This is a surface. This is connective tissue. The tall cells have an oval nuclei, and the nuclei is all in the same direction. So this is simple columnar epithelium. The only I don't see here are the goblet cells, but you do know simple columnar epithelium has goblet cells. The location of the tissue, simple columnar, will be lining most of the GI tract, the stomach, the intestines. The modifications that we find on the apical surface are the folding of the cell membrane, which we call microvilli, in contrast to the cilia that we saw in pseudostratified ciliated epithelium. The function of the tissue is the same as the function of simple cuboidal, absorption and secretion. So substances go through the cells into deeper tissue, or they go from the cell out into the surface. Here the giveaway is the cilia. The minute you see cilia, you know you have pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. These empty-looking things are the goblet cells that secrete mucus. Location is most of the respiratory tract, the trachea, the nasal cavity, the larynx, bronchi, etc. Function is to secrete mucus, and the cilia trap substances and move them out of the body. Okay, this one right here. Right here is facing the surface, and so this is epithelial tissue. The cells on top have a round nuclei, suggesting a round cell, and there are many layers. So this is stratified tissue, and by the shape of the cells on top, this is transitional epithelium, okay, found in the urinary bladder. Hopefully this is a giveaway. The lines all over the place, and the elongated cells and the multinucleated cells tells you these are muscle fibers or myocytes in a skeletal muscle. And contrast with this guy right here, which has elongated cells like that, with an oval nuclei. Elongated cells tells you this is muscle, no striation, so that's telling you this is a smooth muscle. Actually, a very nice picture of a smooth muscle found in the walls of hollow organs. Okay, so hopefully this helped. All right. I'm going to go ahead and post these recordings as soon as they're ready so that they'll be available.